Flosstube. It's good to see you again. Welcome back to Lala D Stitches. My name is Laura, and this is my cross stitch channel where we talk about cross stitch. I am so glad you're here. We've got a beautiful, bright, sunny afternoon, and I've had a super productive morning, so I'm feeling good, and then I'm ready to show you my tiny bits of progress. It's been a super busy, what's it been, 10 days since we met last, and I think I spent 6 of those 10 days, sorry, I got something in my hair up here, it's distracting me, there we go. 6 of those 10 days out of the state, and so, again, but this time I was not as productive because I did not have free evenings. In fact, by the time I got the little ones down, I was so tired that I did nothing. I scrolled the interwebs, and that's just life. It's okay. I did get some things done though, so it'll be fun to catch up with those. I also have no haul, which is unusual for the past couple months. So this might be a shorter video, but that's okay because I'll be back with you in a couple weeks and hopefully with a lot more progress. Oh, I wanted to address a few things before we got into show and tell portion of the episode. I learned a few things through the comments and I just wanted to pass it on. So last week I showed in the library was part of my haul. It's a pattern. Let me just grab that real quick instead of talking about it. So that is this one, which now has its own beautiful bag and is ready for me to start. I think I'm going to start it tomorrow. I'm super excited about it. So this is like reverse plans at the beginning. Anyways, the linen that I found for it is called Vintage Pearled Barley, which I found out is kind of like striking gold. So that's kind of exciting. I had no idea that I had found a linen that is more difficult to locate. Anyway, it is a lakeside linen. So if you were hunting down some of this lucky gold linen, it is Vintage Pearled Barley by Lakeside Linens. The other thing, I had a question about my soft finishes, my wall hanging finishes on my cross stitches behind me. I will do a small clip, and I'll try to, I won't try, I will edit that onto the end of the video. It's not really going to show much, you guys. I don't have any like special magic that happens. In fact, I don't even have hangers for those right now. They are carefully thumbtacked to my walls. So, but I'm more than happy to show you what I do with those. So that'll be at the very end of this video as just an extra bonus clip. I talked briefly last episode about Apple being a goober and not having access to Pattern Keeper, and you guys were super helpful and passed on some tips, and I have downloaded Markup RX and am experimenting with it, so that'll be fun. Thanks for the tips, you guys. And then I actually did spend quite a while watching some Flosstubes. Yay, that felt so good. I felt so out of the loop recently. I just have had no time to watch any. So it was good to get caught up with some of my old friends and then to meet some new Flosstubers. And so I will have a list linking them below. I watched quite a few, so I'm not going to mention them individually, but they're all awesome. I enjoyed them very much, and they've got some really fun stuff going on. So check them out if you've got the time. Alrighty then. I think that's the business side of stuff. Let's do the fun stuff. So I worked on, we'll just go in the order of my stack. So last fall and most of last year, I was really good about sticking to like this schedule, and I used my planner, and so I kind of had a theme for the day. And so far this year, you guys, I don't know if it's because life has been busy or because it's a new year and it's just time to do things a different way, or or if my brain is being stubborn and resistant to my old way of doing things. I'm not sure. But I have not been sticking to my schedule. I do write down, I've got my little planner, which is like just this cheapy thing that I'm handwriting it in, which is not as convenient as a pre-formatted, but it's been good in some ways that I can just be more flexible with what I'm doing. Anyways, I have been trying to be organized, but despite my best intentions, I wind up sitting down so far this year to stitch, and I'll see what's on the list. I'm like, no, I don't wanna. Even though it's something I will stitch on, like history has shown I will stitch on it later in the week, but for some reason, just being told what to do this month, this year so far, even though it's me telling myself what to do, it's not working for me. So I kind of have pulled, 5 to 7 projects out of my whips that I plan to work on during the month, and I'm just kind of grabbing whatever feels good in the moment, which is kind of fun. Potentially less productive in some ways, just because a little less structure. For some reason, I tend to bounce around. Like there are some days, okay, true confessions of a cross-stitchaholic. There are some days where I'll work on one project for like an hour and then I'll bounce to another one for like 20 minutes and it's it is what it is. Anyways, sometimes we're real focused and sometimes I'm real not focused. Holy Hannah, that's hot. Okay, we're gonna let that coffee sit there for a little more. Anyways, so all that preamble was to say, it's gonna be a surprise what I worked on. I mean, not super a surprise. It's really what I worked on last time, but I put more effort into weird places. I don't know. Anyways, this is where we started on my Snow Maiden by Mirabilia, which I'm realizing I should have showed her chart first. It's fine. I'm riding the high of the sunshine and it's got my brain in a scramble. So this is what she will look like someday when, can I get her to focus on this? Okay, well, we do our best. She's gorgeous. I love, love, love her. I am really excited to get down into her skirt. This bottom border will probably be one of the last things I get to because I tend to work down on my Mirabilias, but I love that portion of her skirt. It is so yummy. Just, I don't know, it's like mosaic tiles. Anyways, so I've been working on her. I started her. She was my New Year, New Start, and this is, you've already seen it, but you gotta see it again. This is where we were. Oh, heavens. Well, there you go. And this is where I am. So I filled in a lot on her hair. Yesterday was the first day I finally got to those spectacular water lily silks. And I tell you what, it was like sprinkling winter sunlight into her. It was so exciting. Especially for some reason, this little spot was just magic to me. The way, I'm such a dork, but it feels like the sun's kind of hitting her there just because there's that brighter spot. And anyways, she's gorgeous. I need to get the beads for her so I can start filling some in, but who knows, that might not happen this round. We'll see. For now, I'm really enjoying using the silks. I mean, they're always gorgeous to work with. They just, I mean, the color, and they have this buttery quality. They're so smooth. I mean, it's silk, right? So it's hard to go wrong with silk, but they also have this sheen to them, this light. Sheen may not be the right word, but I don't know. They're just magic. I was really excited to get those in yesterday. In fact, we were watching the tail end of the most recent season of Jack Ryan, and when my husband and I watch a show together, I'll often put my stitching down for at least an episode or so we can get some snuggles in. And I was like, sorry, I can't snuggle right now. I have to use my beautiful silk thread. I was having too much fun. All right, so then the next one is this one. Oh, I need to go find the real master picture because it is a digital chart. Okay, here we go. So this one I started, I don't remember if I started that last month. I think I did start it last month. Barbara Anna, She Mad Hatter Dreams. And those of you who follow my channel know that I love Alice in Wonderland, and I'm always on the watch for, you know, a good either retelling or a really great design. And this one, when I saw somebody showed their finish, it ran as a Sal last year, and somebody showed their finish on Instagram right before Christmas, I think it was. And I was like, oh, I've got to do this one. So it was a highly anticipated start, and it's been equally enjoyable to stitch. I'm just going to use the back of my project bag for a background. Oh yeah, that works great. Oh, I didn't show you where I started. Well, probably doesn't matter. But it's kind of fun to see the progress, right? Like, okay, so my start was like half of her face. Pretty solid start, nothing super exciting. But she's getting more exciting. Got, I don't know, maybe a third of her hair in and the other half of her face. Just need to finish her eyes. And then her face will be done. But really, the magic starts to happen when you go up into the hat and all the things that surround her. Because those are the details of the story that you just see in little nugget icons, I guess. I love her. The colors, you know, you wouldn't think it'd be super exciting to go from peach to darker peach to orange to darker orange. But the colors are actually really satisfying to work with. It's been really fun. And she's just popping off of this gray. This is, what's it called? It's a discontinued gray Zweigart. Where's my little tag? Oh, here we go. It's a 28 count linen steel gray. So it is a discontinued color, but there are a lot of colors out there that are very similar. Even when I was in the shop, I was seeing colors that were like within, I mean, so close to this. It was, I think I wound up picking this one because it was the right size more than anything. So there's lots of good grays out there. Oh, and on the Snow Maiden, well, never mind. My brain, you guys. I've been thinking about this all day. You would think my brain would be a little bit more like in the zone. But as I said, it's been a productive day, so perhaps that productivity like interferes. I don't know. It just makes my brain more busy. So the next one, it's not, sorry, leaning down here. Not super exciting to show. This is part of the Sal I'm hosting right now. And last month we did, well, not everybody. Everybody's kind of doing whatever strikes their fancy. But if you are choosing to follow along on the charts, it's the Country Cottage Needleworks Frosty Forest series, and people kind of just picked their own 2 charts from that, and we were doing one in January and one in February to kind of round out the Sal. And the hashtag, if you want to join us, because you can join anytime, is Better Together Frosty Sal. And so I had shown last video, I had finished January's month, and I am doing this little guy, Snowy Deer, for the second half of it. But what I'm doing differently is I've combined the 2 charts so that they're framed by one border instead of 2 squares. I just thought that would be kind of fun to have a little different. I don't know what I'll do with this, if I'll frame it or make a little pillow or maybe put it on the front of a project bag or, you know, something fun. I haven't really decided on a finish yet, but all I did this week was finish out the border and like half stitches a little ways into the snow. So lots of work to do, but I'll get more done on it this week since I'll have more time. It's a cute one. It's really fun to stitch these little cottages. They go really fast when you just sit down and do it. It's surprising. Sometimes these smaller designs, like this next one I'm going to show you, which I started on a whim because there were so many cute Valentine's Day projects being finished out there at the start of the month. I was like, I want to do something Valentine's Day. And so I picked up this when I was in Nebraska. Primrose Cottage Stitches. Oops, that shows the chart. I apologize, excuse me. And Sweetheart. Anyway, it's super cute, super fast. And I'm doing it on Mystery Opalescent linen. Tiny though. I think it's like a 32 count. Ooh, it's so shiny. Super small. You would think I would be done with it. And I will. I'll finish it this week. That's in my plans. But I don't know. Something about these small projects, I just procrastinate them. They're too easy. I just procrastinate them. But I don't know what it is about them. They're so satisfying. Once you actually sit down and like focus for 2 seconds, Laura, they go so quickly. So this week I finished out the border. I think I should have shown you the before picture. I have a before picture. I had 1/4 of the border done. I had to like do some hard math there for a second. Oh, good grief. Anyways, finished that out. I used, I'm not doing the called for colors because why would I do that? Why would I make my life easier? Sorry, I'm just reaching to find out. So I used my current favorite red for the border because it's just scrumptious, you guys. It is like the most spectacular red. I mean, you can see it stitched up, but it's Classic Colorworks ribbon red, and it's luxurious. It's something about it is so rich, and it goes from this brighter, lovely red into this very subtle but deeper. So you get a really subtle variegation, but it's there. It's almost like a light change rather than a strong color change. And sometimes I really want those, like, I want to know it's shifting colors, like with the water lilies. But sometimes you just want that subtlety, and this one delivers. And I sort of discovered it for myself around Christmas time and fell in love. And so when I chose this little Valentine's Day design, I was like, oh, I've got to find a skein of ribbon red because I used all of mine. And I did. But then I was like, okay, what other colors do I want to do? So I think what I've decided to do is I'm going to, instead of going into this like bubblegum pink, I'm going to stitch with this pretty peachy color, which also has, it's Blushing Beauty, bunny. Okay, I can read. Blushing Beauty, and it does go into, you can see it has a little bit of that bubblegum in there, but it's subtle. It's really more of a peach. And then I'll stitch heart, and probably this heart as well, with this beautiful, what's that one called? Hibiscus. I think that'll be cute. It'll just be something different, and I think it'll work out well. And I may do the heart like half and half, so you get some of that change. We'll just have to see how this stitches out. If it has enough variegation to it, like that stronger variegation like I just mentioned, then I'll stick with just a solid color and let the floss do the talking. But if it's reading pretty solid or more subtle, I'll probably play with that to get more ombre effect, because I do like that. That's cute. Anyways, so that's my little Valentine's Day. It's been fun. Guys, this video is going to take like no time at all. I need to like talk slowly. You'd think I'd had a whole bunch of coffees, but this is actually my first coffee of the day. And I'm just rattling. Oh, I thought I had oh, there it is. Okay. Before picture. Okay, so this one is Coffee First by Brenda Gervais with a needle and thread, and I love it. I did a little bit of customizing on her dress, which you'll see in a minute. Not that it's complete because I was squirreling this week. This is where I started. And this was a New Year, New Start, like for New Year's Eve, the 12 by 12 stitch along thing where you did a different project every hour. I didn't do 12 projects, but I did a few, and this was one of those starts. It was glorious, you can see. But then I hit a bit of a roadblock because I didn't want to do my skirt. The colors were different than you see in the picture in reality. And I don't know if that was just, you know, photography can change things, if there's a filter over it, or if it was a dye lot change. It's hard to say. But I wasn't loving what I pulled when I had, because I had most of the original colors. So I did wind up taking some time to just kind of think about what I wanted to do, and I did finally settle on a palette, and so I can move forward. And this is where I am. So her skirt is going to be this beautiful color, and I've got a lighter shade of that for her top, and I think that'll be fun, and it will match my kitchen a little better. That's where I'd like to hang this one when I get there. And the ambitious side of me is like, oh, I could get this done this month. But not if I stitch like I've been stitching for the last week and a half. I am not going to. It's not going to happen, Laura. Okay. Oh, this one was so fun to pull out. So as so many people do, I have a birthday stitch that I started in September, which is when my birthday is. And in my organized side of life, I stitch on it every month on the 3rd. It's not a big project, and the idea is that I'll get it done by my birthday again this coming year. And so this is my birthday stitch, Virgo, which is, I mean, somebody said in the comments that she has an elegance, and I completely agree. She is elegant and beautiful, and I'm loving every single stitch I put into her. So I missed the 3rd this month because I was out of town. And when I got home, I was just kind of drawn to her. And I thought I would go up into her wings, which are done with Krynic. But I didn't wind up going that route. You know, sometimes you surprise yourself. Anyway, this is where I started. And I loved working on her in September. So, I mean, it's really been easy to make good progress on her because I love it. All right, this is where I got to, which is so exciting. Suddenly she looks like something. So she's got both of her arms now, which I mean she did before, but I've started to fill out some of her. She kind of has, it's almost like necklaces draped between her fingers, something like that. And so there's 1, 2, 3, like 4 layers of it. Anyway, so I've got a couple of those layers in now, and I've framed her, which that felt like such a huge moment in the stitch to define, you know, the formalize the space that she takes up, really, because that's as big as she gets. There's some detail work, some butterflies that come in here, but really, and then I think the like Virgo symbols up there, but yeah, that's as big as she gets. And she's gorgeous. I love her. She is on 32 count linen. I want to say it's lilac. I don't have my little card here for some reason. Anyways, it's a shame to put her away, but I really enjoyed working on it this month. So I'm glad that I made it happen, even though it was not technically on a scheduled day. Schedules are for the birds. Okay. They're not for the birds. I actually love being organized, but you know, sometimes life just takes another path. So let's see if I can get it to focus on this tiny little picture. This next one is the Barbara Anna Four Seasons, which I started. When did I start this one? It wasn't last year. It was the year before, because it was the year we did our first ever like fancy vacation as a couple, and we went to, where did we go? Oh my gosh. Zion National Park, which was a bit of a bummer because we didn't know you had to have pre-established seats saved for going up the canyons. They've restricted a lot of access to the canyons just to preserve them, which I totally get, but it was a really big bummer to drive all the way from the West Coast down to Zion National Park and then not get to see the canyon. So we'll have to go back. But then we went into Bryce Canyon, and that was absolutely worth going out of the way for. It was so spectacular. It was really, really beautiful. And then we popped up and had 2 days of luxury at Lake Tahoe, which neither of us had ever been to. I had no idea what to expect, but we wound up completely by chance. And this is like such a side story, you guys, so I'm sorry if it's boring, but it was cool because I am a bit of a amateur history buff. I love history. And so I watch a lot of documentaries and I read books and la 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 la. I'm the person that makes you stop at all of the, like national park signs and historical markers and stuff because I want to know what it says. I want to know what happened here. And anyways, we wound up staying at a resort that is, oh gosh, I'm not going to remember the valley. Squaw Valley. I think it's Squaw Valley. But that's where the Olympics were held in 1960 something. So it was really cool to like accidentally happen upon this place that looks totally different than it did then, of course, because we have, 60 years of ski resorts and houses being built in there. But we took the tram up to the top where a lot of the skiing and stuff happened, and it was spectacular, and we had great weather, and it was super fun. Anyways, so that would have been in 2021 because that's when we went there. That's when I started this. That's the whole big story that was getting me there. I'm so sorry. Ramble. This is where I started, and my goal is to finish her before spring officially starts. So before March 21st, I think, is the first day of spring. And this picture is really dark. I had really terrible lighting for pictures this week, you guys. Sorry. So I've got a little bit of time still going on her, but I've made really good progress. It's totally going to happen. Hashtag goal getter. This is where I am. So it's not a ton of difference, but I have filled in all of these snowflakes and added some of the pinks, and I started filling in some of the white on the skirt, which gives a really pretty finish, but it's not exciting to stitch at all. I guess it's kind of mindless. That's nice because it's really just fill in. But I still have all these little houses, and then she's got some fancy pants like white down here before her feet. So still a bit to do, but I've got time. I've got another month still, so it's gonna happen. I even took it. Okay, this next one is a bit of a sad story for me. So this is my swans, which are gorgeous, and I'm so loving stitching on them, but I kind of goobered up. So this is where I was last week, blissfully unaware at this point that I had goobered up. Because it's not actually something I did this week. It must have happened sometime in January when I was working on, when I've got a working thread. Oh well, that's okay. Because that's what happens when you find a mistake. You just kind of stop in your tracks, Oh, they're so pretty. I'm so sad. that it's messed up. Anyways, this is the Swans Cottage Garden Samplings. I'm stitching it on 32 count Seraphim linen in the color Witching Hour, which I adore. It's so good. But here's the problem, y'all. As I started putting in the wings, this guy should have lined up there, and that's all. It's an immediate like, ruh-roh, what did I do wrong? And of course, I assumed that I had stitched something in here incorrectly. I hoped that I had stitched something in there incorrectly, because that would have by far been the simpler solution, to just pull back these stitches and correct. Unfortunately, the error lies up in this swan's neck, and I've missed a couple of rows between. It's such a bummer, you guys. It's such a bummer. Basically, I have to rip out their entire stomach and this little tail and up into the neck. I have to pull it clear up to here and redo, because it's like 3 lines too high. I've missed rows, so I just had miscounted somewhere. So a swine frog has come to visit my house, and it is sadness. Anyways, when I found that out, it kind of derailed my enthusiasm for it that night, and I just put it away and worked on something else. And I'll slowly start to pull it out, but I don't know. Until you get the error out so that you can start correcting it, I don't know, it just kind of loses a little something, I guess. Oh, sadness. Oh well. It's okay. Ripping out's not that bad. It's just a mental game, really. So my plans this week, that's all I have to share. That's what I worked on. Not a lot, but I got some things in, and I suppose even discovering the error is an important discovery so that I can correct it and continue on to the really fun, pretty parts of the design with the confidence that it's correct. See, it's important to find that. The goobers. Yes, so I want to work on that. I really want to keep working on the She Mad Hatter, and then I have one other. I'm going to start in the library this weekend because I want to, and then I have one other Alice in Wonderland one that I really want to start. Alice Meets the Caterpillar, because oh ho ho ho, it's so cute. And the colors are just jolly. I really enjoyed the palette of this one, and after a couple, like 3 months almost at this point of working with red, green, and white and blue a lot, I'm ready for the rainbow. I'm ready for more color in my life. So this happy little color palette is striking my fancy. I'm feeling this. So I'm definitely going to start this. I might wait until Wednesday or something to start it. Maybe. And then I also want to pull out Into Dreamland. That's what she's called. My full coverage is, I've decided that Sundays are my full coverage days. Full coverage Sundays. It's just kind of how it's worked out. I usually have the most time on Sundays to stitch, and so I get a lot of progress, so I find it satisfying. And so I'll pull her out again, but I guess that's something I could show you. So I have kind of like secret forgotten haul. Pardon me 1 second. You're okay, puppy. Gracie likes to sleep under my chair. Well, not my chair, under my desk while I'm filming. And if I get up, she's like, oh, where are you going? Come back. I was sleeping. Okay, anyways. So I bought this, I think it was right around the New Year. It was a total impulse purchase. And I was already buying so much. I'm going to be just completely honest. I was a little embarrassed that I bought another thing. But it was gorgeous and it was on sale. And so I'm just going to own it because I love it. It's another full coverage. Luca S. And I don't know, when I saw it, it was probably because it's the end of December and everything was dark and we just had that big ice storm, and something about this was warm and welcoming and peaceful and colorful. And I think it's really elegant. I think it's really lovely. So yeah, one of these days I will add it into my rotation. It's already in its own little baggie, and I'm ready to go. But I haven't added it into my full coverage Sunday rotation. It could be cool to maybe do like every other, since I only have the 2 truly full coverage, do every other week, maybe 1 week on Into Dreamland and then 1 week on this. I don't know. We'll see. This also has a very like early summer feeling to me. So maybe it will just be a seasonal switch out. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, she's gorgeous. I love it. So there's my little old haul from New Year's. Yeah. There was one more thing. I had also had questions. So every once in a while I'll recommend a book because I love to read. And usually there's some connection that brings it into my head. But I had somebody ask, do you have any book recommendations? So we'll revisit old friends. Heartless is my favorite February read because it's a Alice in Wonderland retelling, but it's really the story of the Queen of Hearts. It's very, very good. Marissa Meyer, I fell in love with her with the Lunar Chronicles series, and which really is like one epic story, but each book introduces a specific, like the first one is called Cinder, and so Cinderella is the story that they're drawing from. You see echoes of it throughout the story, but it's its own thing. And then the second one is Little Red Riding Hood, and then you've got Rapunzel. So there's like these fairy tales that are inserted into this grander story, and I think the series is 5 or 6 books. Anyway, so I knew I loved her, and when I was given this book for Christmas a couple years ago, I mean, it was easy to love it as well. So that one I always recommend, but I was looking for something different because I know a couple of people read that after I recommended it last time. So if you haven't, this is not a new book. Rosamund Pilcher, The Shell Seekers, is one of my all-time favorite novels. It is, I don't even know how to describe this one without giving away its magic. It starts with an elderly woman who has come home, and she's kind of remembering her life. This sounds so exciting. But she, how do I describe it? Other than it's lovely and it's magic. And when I read it for the first time, I had just moved to Mississippi, and I found it on a library shelf because what's the first thing you do when you move to a new place is you get a library card, of course. But I spent the first week I lived there sitting under trees and at the beach reading this book, and it absolutely swept me away. And the writing is absolutely beautiful, and I don't know, I keep saying that word. It's wonderful. I recommend it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. So if you're looking for family epic is, I think, what the category would be, something along those lines. But it's a beautiful story. I think one of the things I love about it most is the characters are real, and you can really relate to them. And she lives in Europe during World War II as a younger person, and it's a very different perspective. Anyways, it's wonderful. I completely recommend it. there's a lot of human growth, mistakes and redemption of sorts, and it's wonderful. I love it. Anyways, so there's my book recommendations. There's my progress. I hope February is treating you all very well, and I'll get out of your hair for the day. I'll come back to you in a couple weeks, and we'll see what's cooking in my cross stitching world. All right, you guys, thanks so much for sticking around. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Hi everyone, welcome back. This is going to be my little gallery wall tour of my sewing room, and I've swapped over to my phone, so hopefully the settings play nice and you can hear everything I say. All right, please forgive any mess. This was not prepped in advance. This is coming to you raw. Okay, so this is really the example of my quilted finishes, and right now I'm just hanging them with little pins. But what I've done, this one had to be finished as a quilt. It was one of my earlier projects when I was still learning how to figure fabric out, and you can see I left a very, very fine margin. I don't even think I cut anything off for this one. It was just done as is. And so what I've done is I've added a border, and I always quilt in the ditch. So I use batting. You can see on the back that it's just a quilted finish. And so it's just standard quilt cotton batting in the middle, and then I'll stitch in the ditch along the edges so that things don't shift around too much. I don't want to do it all over quilting because obviously that would interfere with, you know, the hours and hours of stitching. On this one I did do little in place anchor stitches just to tack down the middle so it wouldn't sag. It was a little wider, so I didn't want it to sag, but that's really all that I do to secure those, and then I just bind it. And this one I actually machine bound, so it's not even hand stitched. It was a real quick finish. And this one is the same deal. These are both frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Sals, by the way. And I'm sorry that everything's a little darker. The sunshine went away. Great timing, sunshine. Anyways, same idea. I cut a border. I measured my project, cut this one down because I did have extra on this one, and I chose to have a uniform edge around this one, and then cut my borders, sewed them on, layered it with batting, stitched in the ditch around it, and then just machine bound it. And I don't have any hangers on them, but there are several ways you can do hangers. This project, which was done by a dear friend, she stitched into the binding a little hang tab. So it's just a loop of fabric closed in, and she stitched that into the binding so it folds up and you can hang from it. That's a great way to do it. I might do that on future projects. You can also make a little sleeve along the top and use a dowel. I've also, at times I've hung these ones, this one specifically, I would get little like pattern clips or things of that nature and hang it from things so that I wasn't poking holes. But then I decided, you know, the holes are so subtle, it really doesn't hurt them. This one is just your traditional hoop finish. So it was put in the hoop, pulled real tight, and then I used string to secure all of those tight things, and then I actually glued this piece of felt over the edge to finish it because there was no way I was going to sew that on. And then these are traditional just in glass finishes. I did it myself. I This one is one of my first cross stitches ever. See if I can get it without glare. It's an old Debbie Mom kit, and I think it was Dimensions originally, and it's one of my most poorly framed. Not that it's sagging or anything, I've fixed it a couple of times. It used to have a different, much more boring, less expensive frame around it, and I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, I think I used, oh my gosh, like masking tape to hold my edges down. I mean, I was in my early teens, so forgive my ignorance there. This one, I believe I used tacky board for. You can get them at like Hobby Lobby or Michael's and stuff like that. And so I pressed it really good with steam and then, you know, centered it as best I could and just folded it around. It's not anything super fancy. That's a Blackbird Designs Yellow Submarine. It is one of my all-time favorite finishes. I love that project. Anyway, so that's my little gallery wall. It's not very big, but it's mine, and that's how I've finished my things and hung them up. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.